Good morning, guys. JasonLeeno here. As you can see, I'm in the bathroom once again talking to you, but today it's because I'm going to be having another day of eating video. It's been a long time since I've done this, and I know a lot of you really do enjoy seeing people eat, so I am going to try to do it. It is hard, like I mentioned in the past. I live in a small apartment, so for the majority of the time I have to take over my whole apartment to do so. So fortunately, I have the time and I have the space today to make this kind of video for you. And I want to put a little bit of a spin on it because normally I kind of do your high calorie cheat meal day, YOLO, whatever, when it comes to eating. I don't really care. I'll go for super high calories. And the majority of the time I do eat a higher calorie than what normal people would. However, it is pretty structured, and that's because, like I mentioned in the past, I do work shift work, so I have specific breaks at specific times, usually the majority of the week, and that basically means specific meals to make my life easier. So that's usually how my diet is, and I wanted to share that with you today just because I can't really do that at work, and I figured since I have the food already made up, it'd just be a lot easier to kind of go with that and show you the reality of my diet when it comes to training and things like that. But without further ado, we might as well just start this video like I normally do, and that is with a weight update.
All right, let's see what we weigh. 168.9, so not 170, but pretty darn close.
So normally I start my day off at about 6:15 in the morning. I don't really like to do a lot of cooking, and honestly I don't even really want to be out. But we're all adults, we gotta do the big boy job, and that's why I'm up at that time, and that's why I choose to eat overnight oats, because there's no cooking involved, and that's kind of what I would prefer because I don't really have a lot of time before I have to get in the car and drive to work, and this way I'm able to just get a decent amount of calories in at a pretty quick rate. So if we look at a caloric breakdown, I'm looking at about 650 calories, 33 grams of protein, 57 grams of carbs, and 31 grams of fat. Nothing too crazy, just your standard oatmeal, I would say, just with some pumpkin seeds for your extra fat, extra protein, and then some applesauce just to kind of sweeten it up and give us some delicious carbohydrates. Alright, now that that's done, I am off to work. For meal number 2, we are looking at just some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a banana. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. I've been doing this for years. Honestly, I'm a big believer in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I think they're probably one of the most overlooked but quick snacks you could actually have. Me, I treat them as meals. That's why I load them up, make them pretty calorically dense, like I do try to do with all my foods. But you see a lot of people, especially like in high school sports and things like that, like focusing on like trying to get their protein supplements in and their amino acids, things like that, which it has its place. But the reality is, if they just packed a couple of these bad boys each and every day, I don't think they would have any issues with their performance or strength gains. But that's just my personal opinion. When it comes to the nutritional breakdown, we're looking at 865 calories, 25 grams of protein, 129 grams of carbohydrates, and 31 grams of fat. Now, the reason why it's like this is because I load up the peanut butter like a lot, like peanut butter and jelly all day long. And then obviously with the sugar content of your banana, it spikes it up as well for the carbohydrates. But I'm a big fan of carbohydrates. I'm not going to steer away from them because that's kind of what helps implement performance. It's not really your proteins. Your proteins is what helps heal your muscle and build your muscle, but your carbohydrates is that energy source. And like I mentioned, I will need that energy to get through my day. The hardest part of that meal, honestly, is all the peanut butter that sticks to the roof of my mouth. Time for meal 3, or what I like to call lunchtime. Now this is probably the closest thing I would consider to like your bro meal, but it's not really a bro meal because I put some delicious things in it. So it's not obviously your standard chicken, rice, and broccoli because, well, I don't eat meat. So we are looking at tofurkey sausage with kind of like my version of Mediterranean rice. So basically chicken-free chicken broth, if that makes sense. And then we just got some green beans. Calorically, we're looking at 583 calories with 36.5 grams of protein, 63.5 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of fat. It's not too bad. It's kind of on the lighter side just because like I have been eating a decent amount up to this time, so it kind of just gives me a little bit of a break. And then that way my fourth meal before I leave home to go to the gym, it's a little bit heavier, and then it is able to help bring me through my actual training routine itself. But enough talking, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Now you're probably starting to notice a trend. I like to use the shoveling method. Don't really like to waste a lot of food, even when it comes down to like the last itty bitty rice pieces. On to meal 4, guys. This is by far one of the most calorically dense meals I'm going to be having today. This is usually the 4th meal, like I said, of the day. It's the meal that I have right before I go home, and then once I get home I get ready for the gym, work out for a few hours or so, and then onward to more food. But I usually like to eat this kind of meal just because I don't really have a lot of intra-workout stuff that I do. during my training, so I like to just kind of bloat my gut out a bit. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it works best for me. And then that way, by the time I'm finished, I can, then start putting the calories back into my system. But to the actual meal itself, it is just your baked tofu with roasted potatoes and roasted green beans. Normally I would have a little bit of broccoli with this meal. However, kind of ran out of broccoli, so that isn't going to be the case today. But other than that, I might as well just get right to it. Never get tired of that. Well, that would be my last work meal of the day, and then shortly after I would be heading home, like I said, going to the gym. That's not really going to be today because, well, I already did all my training, hence why I have a little bit of extra time to kind of record, do editing, things of that nature. But yeah, I guess until the post-workout / last meal. Well guys, if this is a day of eating work edition, normally I would also be training after work. And lately I've been hitting up some protein shakes after the gym just to kind of get a little bit more calories in. Not all the time, it's hit or miss. Honestly, it usually only ever happens when I'm doing like a heavy squat session or a heavy deadlift session, because that's usually when I burn up the most calories. But it's honestly nothing fancy. It's just your generic like grocery store protein. It's nothing crazy. I don't care about labeling. I'm not a big believer in this brand's better than this brand when it comes to it. As long as it's cheap and easy, that's pretty much all I care about. No pun intended. And as well, I also have some carbohydrates involved, sugars. So we got your fructose and then we got your dextrose. I know a lot of people are kind of anti-fructose, anti-dextrose, but it is a quick, fast digesting carbohydrate, and it's something that I'm just going to utilize because A, it's cheap, B, it does actually work. But like I said, it's nothing fancy and it's not even that consistent. However, it is something that has been happening just a little bit more frequently, so I figured I would put it into this video. So when it comes to the nutritional breakdown, we are looking at 360 calories per shaker with 30.5 grams of protein, 37 carbohydrates, and 8.5 grams of fat. Now normally I would be doing a little fast tracking of the video, but it's a shake, so I'm just going to quickly slam it and we'll call it a day. Alright guys, final meal of the night. This is going to be meal number 6, and it's a delicious one, might add. It's probably one of my favorite meals I like to eat. We got pierogies with sour cream, since I'm vegan, and tofurkey sausage. Now this is pretty calorically dense, and it is kind of late at night, and a lot of people don't really recommend to eat a lot at night. However, with my schedule and how I train, I just pretty much always like to keep the calories going. Yeah, some mornings I am a little bloated, but usually about 10 o'clock and a couple cups of coffee, that all goes away. But when it comes to the nutritional breakdown, we are looking at 800 calories with 44 grams of protein, 112 grams of carbohydrates, and 31 grams of fat. And might I add, they are a delicious 800 calories. Well, I can say one thing. As unfriendly as some people may say this is on my digestion tract, I can tell you this, it is super easy to go to bed after eating like this. Well guys, that's almost a video because, let's be honest, we want to know what my total caloric intake was for the day. So when it comes to from breakfast to now, we are looking at roughly 3,965 and a half calories with 199.5 grams of protein, 581 grams of carbohydrates, and 149 grams of fat. So if you also take into consideration the couple cups of coffee I had today, so if you count the carbohydrates and the calories within the sugar, I'm going to be over 4,000 calories. Now this isn't the exact meal breakdown because there is some fluctuation. I don't always eat pierogies and sausage, and I don't always, have the specific meals that I did today. However, the objective is to always try to hit that 4,000 calorie mark because I find at that range, I'm able to still maintain and build strength without putting on a ridiculous amount of weight. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video today. It's been a long time since I've done a day of eating video, so hopefully you were amused. But guys, that's the video, so do me a favor, go down below, drop me some comments because I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd like to hear if you guys want to see more videos like this or something else, and then also hit that like, share, and subscribe to spread that love because I am going to bed, so I will see you next time.